is South Coast Tonight with Chris McCarthy and Marcus Farrow. They've got you covered on all the news of the day, from local issues to politics on both sides of the aisle. This is the place where the movers and shakers come to be heard, to listen, and where they're held accountable. This is South Coast Tonight on WBSM.
Hey, welcome back to South Coast Tonight. I'm Marcus. Happy Thanksgiving Eve and happy Thanksgiving ahead of time. I hope you really enjoy your day or your weekend with your family. I know a lot of people might be flying out or coming home. And like that last caller had said, make sure you have a plan for getting home safely because otherwise you'll be faced with a dangerous and potentially dangerous and expensive proposition. So one thing I did want to mention, I didn't mention it yesterday, but was it yesterday? Yeah, yesterday. So yesterday I was at Kearney Academy, and there was the unveiling of the New Bedford Police Department's autism awareness car. It's really cool. Chief Oliveira had driven it there. There was a lot of students there that were really excited they played with the car. They were sitting in the car, beeping the horn, checking it out. It's a fully operational police vehicle. The lights are on and all of that. It's really neat, and I think it's cool. Chief Oliveira was very excited, and I hadn't actually met. It was weird. I hadn't had a chance to meet Chief Oliveira since he had assumed the office from Joe Cadero about a year and change ago. What a nice guy. And, I got his, we talked a little bit about it. There's a column on WBSM.com about the autism awareness car that you should check out. And there's some pictures, too, of the car if you want to check it out, and pictures of the officers that were there. There was some school resource officers, the chief, the deputy chief, and Rosie, the comfort dog that they have, the Labradoodle. And I think it's a Labradoodle. I'm not well-versed on dog breeds, admittedly, but I believe it was a Labradoodle. But check that out on WBSM.com. It was a really cool event. I enjoyed being there, covering it, and I really enjoyed writing the column, too. I don't always enjoy writing my columns. It's a labor, but, it's laborious. It's important. But that one I enjoyed from start to finish. So definitely check that out. Again, Chief Oliveira thought it was important to make that car to show solidarity and commitment to autism awareness. And the car's really cool. And it'll be dispatched to school resource officers and to community events as well. So, again, you guys know my background. A lot of you do. I'm chair of the Commission on Disability here in Fairhaven. I have a brother living with autism. So those issues are really important to me. So it was important that it was important to me to go cover that event as well and write that column, so you can check it out. The autism awareness car that was recently unveiled at Kearney Academy. So, a few things I guess we'll talk about. Like I said, it's Thanksgiving Eve. I just kind of want to do an open phone lines thing. We had Anthony Puente from the New Bedford Fire Department. That podcast should be up by now. If you didn't listen before, you can listen again. We'll have Anthony back in. I like doing those periodic segments with him because, it's like 30 or 30 plus years of institutional knowledge he has on fire safety, and he really knows everything. I asked him, hey, can you talk about wood stoves and pellet stoves and all of that? He said, yeah, sure. And can you talk about this and that? He says, yeah, sure. So that podcast is up. If you want to go back and re-listen, you can go to WBSM.com. You can go to the WBSM app or anywhere where podcasts are offered, and you just go to the on-demand. If you have the app, you just press the podcast button. You'll see South Coast Tonight. If you want to just go online to WBSM.com, you can click on the on-demand feature or listen on demand, and then South Coast Tonight, and you'll see it. But I want to thank Anthony for coming in again. A great guy. Was my football coach at Stang, and does a really good job raising awareness for fire safety. and does a lot of great work in the community through his SAFE program. So, we were talking about, we had callers call and ask about the Colorado shooting, and then I've talked a bit about the struggle for gay rights that has spanned the course of history in this country. And that's always a really fascinating and important conversation. But I'm taking open phone lines. We can talk about whatever you want. 508-996-0500. Let's actually go back to the phones. Good evening.
Back again.
Sure.
You kind of got me thinking about something that kind of like stuck in my craw, and it concerns school security. I mean, this guy Hero just took over,
Yeah.
And if you have a prison escape, the first thing that happens is alarms are sounding everywhere, and you go into immediate lockdown.
Yep.
And I don't know what, of course, we're talking about people who are getting out, not breaching by coming in.
Yeah.
And I just never understood with the cheapness of alarm systems that are really loud and everything else. Why the schools can't just put up an alarm system, and then of course, like in her case where she breached everything, just walking through the main door, just focus on the main lobby.
Yeah. So people, so just for people who might not know, there was a woman who had walked into 4 or 5 schools in the Lakeville Freetown school system, had given a fake name. Fake child's name, and because of, I guess, maybe people at the desk that might have been busy at the time, or maybe the maybe lack of security, that person was able to wander, that the woman, the mother, was wandering around the schools. She was later charged with, or there's at least a criminal complaint filed for disrupting a school assembly. It's something I think is important to important conversation to have, and I've been looking to. It's one of the things in the program that I've wanted to do more of that since I got this new show that I haven't been able to is talk with, I haven't been able to because of the election, is talk with more people in the school.
Would be a great guest if you could get an alarm specialist.
Who
do homes all the time. You got these little metal attachments to your door that if it's breached, the alarm goes off, doors or windows, and it's very cheap. I
think it's a good conversation. I agree. I think it's a good conversation to have, and what I'd like to do is get someone either from the school committee or from the school department, New Bedford Public Schools, in, because they definitely have school security protocols in place, and we can have that official, one of those, either a school committee member or something, talk about that. I don't know if they have those alarm systems.
10 or 15 seconds. Going back to 1980 technology. Now, Taunton.
Yeah. Familiar.
Okay, I worked at Reed and Barton. I was a security officer, and there was 8 of us. 5 went on to the police department later on, full time. But anyway, what we had for security back then was the infrared, like an I-beam. You see these kids, they hit planes with these beams and stuff. Well, that's what this was. It was sensitive. If a moth broke that beam, alarms would go off everywhere because we had millions and millions of dollars of bullion silver.
I think the thing is, I think the question, I think the central question you'd want to put forward in a situation like this is there such a thing as over security, right? Are you lying?
No.
You don't think so? Like maybe, like you're talking about lockdowns. Schools have lockdowns.
Over muscled either. I don't think you can say that guy lifts weights, he's over. No, when you get into that, because you're going from nothing. You got nothing right now.
Mm-hmm.
So set your goals high. And as a matter of fact, every school doesn't have to have that same system. You can experiment.
Yeah.
You can go with the cheap one, or you can go with the moderately priced one.
Mm-hmm.
But it's all being done by experts. And then if you want, you say, well, geez, this particular school, high school, where the kids are older and there's a lot of animosity to teachers or whatever. But you select your schools. And you go with the cheap ones here and there. But anything is better than nothing. And I never heard of over-security. Fort Knox, any place, over-security. No. Usually when you speak of over-security, you got too many employees as security people.
Right. Well,
physical, feet on the ground security.
I think there's some things to,
I'm not talking about cameras. I'm talking about loud alarms, and you go into lockdown.
Yeah, I just don't.
And like the doors that push out. I know in school you lock the door on the outside, but the kids from the inside can push it out and let somebody in. Those are the doors that I would have the metal things.
I know. The thing is, I know schools have security protocols. I just don't know to the extent to which they do, like alarm systems or lockdowns and things like that. And I don't know the efficacy of those.
It's like chain of physical custody, like Biden's kid. With the laptop, the physical custody chain is brief, but there's protocol. There was a protocol there, and it wasn't followed.
Yeah, chain of custody.
The point is, you're only as good as the laws are on the books, but they're only as good as how they are enforced.
Of course,
if you're going to enforce laws cafeteria style, who's up for trial? Oh, yeah, we'll wait about. You can't do that. It's got to be uniform. And when it comes to security, you should actually have. I don't know why the governor hasn't done it. You should actually have, in each county, paid for by the state, some kind of a headquarters or an office for people who we call whistleblowers to talk and say, hey, look, this is the problem with this particular school, but there's nothing going on. What I learned from the incident that's happening right now with the lady that breached everything, there are no whistleblowers in the system. And as somebody who's cynical, I say that's because you hire a bunch of liberals and they unionize and they don't give a damn, quite frankly.
I don't think that's fair to say that the teachers unions or anything.
But I'm a bit frustrated.
No, I get it. I agree. And, school safety is something I'm not super well versed on. I know Jess Machado's, it's one of her primary issues as a mother of four, and she's very active in her community about school safety.
I agree. I don't see it as school security. I see it as child security.
Well, yeah.
Because as soon as I let my child go, even if they're stepping on the bus, I'm going to be worried that the bus driver is, I don't want my child left behind when they put the buses away. It happens every winter.
Right.
Some 6-year-old is crying and shivering, and what's going on here? And the kid left on the bus. How does that happen? And that's a different type of security system or whatever. But I'm talking about the schools themselves, the windows and the doors. I don't know anything about the roofs. Is somebody going to get up on the roof? I don't know what the hell you do about that. That's like Santa Claus coming down a chimney. You got security for that,
right?
I'm making a joke, a bad one. But the thing is that really, let's get it straight. You can't have it both ways. Are you in on child safety? Or are you not in on child safety? We're more worried about the kids wearing masks and stuff like that, and yet the particles go right through the mask because they're so micro that the mask is useless. But we're worried about that kind of protocol.
We're talking about school safety now. Yeah, again, it's something that I definitely need to brush up on, and I want to get people in from the school departments to, I think, have a better conversation on that. Again, it's something Jess follows, I think, pretty closely. I
just want to say one thing.
Sure.
I worked at NSA. I call it a cup of coffee. I only worked there 6 months. I was an alarm specialist there. And that's a national security agency,
yes.
And everything was done electric. And believe me, you don't want to set off one of those alarms that blow your eardrums off.
Yeah, the NSA is a little different.
National security agency.
Yeah, they're gathering, metadata and all that other stuff.
They're all about security. But
right.
The thing is if you take anybody locally, I'll guarantee you right now that does homes and does some commercial buildings that might have precious metals and bullion or whatever,
sure,
because of the nature of what they manufacture. I'm not talking about Handy and Harmon or anything like that. But you talk to these people, bring them in. You're going to be shocked at how cheap it is.
Yeah.
To have a security system put in. You see ATD and they got the signs in the ad.
Yeah.
And it says this home is protected by ATD security.
Mm-hmm.
It works.
Yeah.
It works. How about if the schools, because they're throwing us a lot of baloney because they really don't have a plan, why don't they just make up their own company and pound signs in the ground saying this is protected by this, and if you don't believe it, we also have Joe the Bulldog and he's going to rip you up. So,
right.
Because if you got nothing, you can't.
I don't know that they have nothing. I don't know that they have nothing. I don't think that's probably fair to say. I think every school system has protocols. It's just the efficacy of them.
Receipts?
Yeah, again, it's not something.
Receipts? If you've got a system and we pay taxes, why can't I find this? Why can't I go to City Hall or go online and find this? It should be out there because if the bad guys read it, they're going to stay away. It should be out there.
Yeah. No, I agree with you.
I mean, these incidents and stuff like the horrible one in Texas. I mean, actually, you had the feet on the ground. They stood there listening to kids getting shot. I'll never put my hand.
Yeah, it was a particular. That was maybe a uniquely horrifying situation in Uvalde.
And a man who had a child in there bust through the lines, and they're handcuffing him and dragging him out like he's a terrorist. And in the meantime, they're hearing gunshots going, killing his kids. That is so morbid. They swept it, though. They swept it like they did Waco. Remember the children that survived Waco?
I remember Waco, yeah.
Yeah, and the children that survived, they're now in their 30s and everything, and they cannot speak at a college auditorium about it. They cannot write a book. They cannot have a ghostwriter write a book. And they were all put in the equivalent of a witness protection program for the government, not for them.
Well, Waco was, I mean, they were in a difficult situation there with David Koresh and all the weird stuff they had going on in that organization in Waco.
Yeah, and Clinton took Janet Reno and told her Attorney General, who had 4 drunk driving charges, by the way, speaking of alcohol.
Janet Reno?
Yeah. Well, most of them were picked up in Dade County. She battled alcohol wickedly, and she was done. She was politically done. Clinton took her out of the ashes, gave her the job of Attorney General, and obviously he did that because he had total control over her. And he's the one that ordered the tanks to go in there with the flamethrower and everything.
Right.
And Janet Reno complied, just like he got was it Mayorkas? He's no different than Janet Reno. Tell me what to do, Joe Biden. I'll do it. And that's what Janet Reno was telling me what to do, Bill Clinton. I'll do it. And that's how that standoff turned into a horrible.
What was the other one they had too? Ruby Ridges was the other one, and with Reno.
What was that all about?
That was in Idaho.
Goddamn shotgun was a quarter-inch too short, so it made it illegal. A felony.
And they
How about Wounded Knee?
They killed that woman while she was like serving pancakes to the guy that they were actually targeting. They killed his wife.
I'm telling you, it was insane. And then a year to the day after Waco, look what happened in Oklahoma City, 147 dead. And when that son of a gun, who was an Army veteran, I'm ashamed to say.
Timothy McVeigh.
Timothy McVeigh.
Yeah.
And then when they sent him off to the gallows, and he said, man, you're going to hell. And he says, you know what the score is? If I get killed, 147 to 1.
I remember, I
147 dead, and I'm dying.
Right.
Because he stuck to his principles, however wacky he was. Yeah. But the thing is that in a case like that, how are you going to stop McVeigh? And it all happened because Waco happened. And that's what I try to tell people.
Well, McVeigh, I think, explicitly said it was in response to Waco, right? He did it because of Waco. Yeah,
on the anniversary.
Right.
Of Waco, the first year, and that was a horrible situation, and I'm just saying, we got a Homeland Security, and we got a bad border, and we got this and that, but I'm just going to take what I see on face value. Yeah, the border's closed. 4 million people snuck in.
Hey, I gotta hit this break, but I appreciate you calling in.
Well, thank you. I hope I raised some hell with you and get some talk.
I always appreciate it. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
All right, bye. I got to take this break, and I'll be right back.
1420 WBSM.
Hey, welcome back to the show. I'm Marcus. I was going to play a song. I forgot to, but I'll play it now, I guess. This is my transition song. But I've got to play it, like, right at the end of the commercial break. I'm going to discipline myself with that a little bit. But I'll get better at it. This is Passion Fruit by Drake. Probably my it's unpopular opinion. I think it's Drake's best song. Unpopular opinion. A lot of people I've been yelled at, but I think it's his best song. It's my favorite Drake song. It's really good. It's nice. It's Hold on. Anyway, so welcome back to the show. I'm Marcus, 508-996-0500. Happy Thanksgiving Eve and happy Thanksgiving ahead of time. I hope you all have an excellent time with your family on Thanksgiving and throughout the weekend. And watch football. There's 3 games on. There's the Lions and Bills, I believe, to start the day. The Lions and Cowboys always playing Thanksgiving, but the Lions and Bills, the Cowboys, I think at noon, maybe noon. At 4:30 is the Giants and Cowboys, and then 8:30 is the Patriots, our Patriots, and the Vikings. And it's a big game. and that's the primetime game. And you can listen to it here on WBSM. So you don't have to change your dial if you're in the car, if you're driving home after having turkey or whatever with your family and, during your annual football game or whatever thing you do, breaking the wishbone. You can actually listen to the game so you don't miss a minute of it. I said this last week. I heard the game-winning punt here on WBSM, the game-winning punt return, because I was going somewhere else. And it was pretty cool to listen to it. I felt like I didn't miss it, I heard it, and it was kind of riveting to hear it, from a purely auditory, experience, that moment in the game. I thought was really cool. So you won't miss a minute if you get in your car after, like I said, and you want to listen to the game. You can listen to it here. You don't have to change your dial. And it's great. I love it. It's a great feature here. Like I said, if I'm out and about, Sundays, I'm on my couch, I'm hanging out with my cat, and I'm watching football, right? And that's Sundays. I'm always like, leave me alone on Sunday. Don't talk to me. But sometimes you get somewhere to be. So you can listen to the Patriots. You won't miss a minute here on WBSM. That's my plug. I'm a company man. So there is one thing. There was some breaking news on the more national scale with respect to the midterm elections. Nothing game-changing necessarily because the House majority's already been decided. But Mary Peltola, the Alaskan Democratic Congresswoman, Alaska has one member of Congress. I believe Vermont's the other state. I think Idaho maybe and Wyoming have one member of Congress too. There's a few smaller states with smaller populations that get one member of Congress, so it's basically called an at-large district. Mary Peltola, the Democrat, formally defeated Sarah Palin. You, of course, all know who Sarah Palin is. Former governor of Alaska, former vice presidential candidate, and I believe the second woman on a presidential ticket of a major party. The first one was Geraldine Ferraro in 1984 with Walter Mondale. So I think it was those two, and then Hillary, and then Kamala Harris. But she defeated former Alaskan Governor Sarah Palin. Now, a lot of people blame this on ranked choice voting. I don't think that's correct. I think Sarah Palin wasn't a good candidate for Congress because she left her governorship. Is that what it's called? Is it governorship? I should probably know that. She left her governor post about halfway through her term. She'd ran for vice president with John McCain, lost that election, obviously, to Barack Obama and Joe Biden. And then she kind of got beat by Joe Biden twice, right? And then left her post like midway. She was governor for 2 years and then just later, see ya. And went to go campaign, hit the campaign trail, did some TV gigs, made a lot of money. And, I think actually campaigned effectively for the Tea Party Congress that took 64 seats in the House. But that doesn't mean that the people of Alaska rightfully had a bad taste in their mouth, for a governor who basically just jumped ship when it was convenient for her. So she wasn't really a good candidate for that seat. And so Mary Peltola, who was an Alaskan congresswoman, Alaskan state rep, Alaskan state Senate member, so obviously had a high profile there, ran on I think her big thing is she's pro-fish, right? Alaska, obviously, along with us in New Bedford, Alaska has, a very thriving fishing industry over there. And so she won. So Mary Peltola won the special election, basically, and then won the general election. And I can tell you why it wasn't because of ranked choice voting. I'm actually a supporter of ranked choice voting. It got shot down in here, Massachusetts, overwhelmingly, and I was, I think it would have been a better system for voting, but whatever. But Lisa Murkowski, it's not because of ranked choice voting because it only helps Democrats or whatever, because Lisa Murkowski won her Senate seat, the Republican, long-tenured Republican. Her father, I believe, was a senator and maybe a governor. But Lisa Murkowski won her Senate seat back. And she defeated a Republican. It was a Republican runoff, basically, because of ranked choice voting. So Alaska is still going to vote for Republicans statewide if they like them, because there was only 2 Republicans left. The other Democrat and the Independent were defeated in that ranked choice voting runoff. They were already eliminated, and they reelected their Republican governor with ranked choice voting. So I think it was because Mary Peltola was just a good candidate. There's a few seats that still got flipped, even as the House. Even as the House Dems lost their majority narrowly, they still flipped a few seats, partly because, in some cases, because they ran bad candidates like Sarah Palin, but also because they flipped a few only 10 pro-impeachment Republican members of Congress actually survived this. 10 were up for election. 8 of them were eliminated. Only 2 survived. And in one case, like in Washington, they had this woman, she has like a Beauchamp Perez, I think her name was. She's a mechanic, car shop, auto shop owner in Washington, had won that election because they had eliminated a longtime Republican for a more pro-Trump election denial type person, and that lost them the seat. So they were able to flip a few seats. That one of them being that seat. And I don't think it's because of ranked choice voting. Again, I'm a supporter of it. I was disappointed it got shot down in mass, but we're taking your calls at 508-996-0500. Hey, good evening.
Hey, Marcus, how you doing tonight?
Hey, Tom. I'm good. How are you?
Well, happy Thanksgiving to you. But,
you too.
Most of the people in New Bedford won't be watching the NFL tomorrow. You're going to watch Portugal play against Chad and the great Ronaldo.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, and there's breaking news with this guy. He parted ways with Manchester United, which
he did.
Basically makes him a free agent.
Mm-hmm.
And it's possible for this guy to end up with the Revolution in Foxborough.
That'd be incredible.
Think of that.
They'd have to pay him. They'd have to throw Brinks trucks at him to get him. Right? It's my understanding.
Yeah, but it's possible.
Yeah.
The stadium would be full every single game, for one. And who knows? Maybe he could lead the Portuguese Feast Parade.
Well, but you know what? You know what people? You know what's cool about Ronaldo, other than obviously his historic talent? He's Madeiran. He is actually Madeiran. He's from Madeira. He could serve actually in this year's feast alongside of me. He could serve in this year's feast. He's Madeiran, so he could lead the feast parade.
Yeah, because I think right now they're averaging up there maybe 25 to 30,000 people a game, but that stadium I think holds 68,000 or something to that effect.
Sure.
And I could almost guarantee you that stadium would be full each and every game.
Well, that's why. I mean, they did that with Beckham, right? I think the Los Angeles team threw a ton of money at Beckham, so we went from Europe to the Pro Soccer League here.
Yeah, and you talk about the boatload of money they'd have to pay him. There's ways, between jerseys and ticket sales and a piece of the concessions and all that.
Yeah,
the MLS may be willing to do that. So
I'm sure there'll be a return on investment there, and obviously the New England. I mean, California has a pretty strong They have a very strong Portuguese population there, so that you might find California a more attractive destination. But other than California and Hawaii, we have the strongest. I mean, we have the strongest Portuguese population here in New England between Rhode Island and Massachusetts. So yeah, it seems like a natural fit.
Yeah. So say he comes, where's he going to live? If you were him, where would you live?
New Bedford.
And, so you're looking at, the Hawthorne Street area. You talk about security that would be needed.
Cristiano Ronaldo on Hawthorne Street. I'd be thinking maybe one of those mansions in Padenham or Nonquit would probably be where he'd go. But that'd be very interesting.
Yeah, it's a possibility, but big games today. Japan upset Germany. It was a great game.
Okay.
The strategies Japan used were just simply incredible. They did not stop running. It was just, what a great game that was.
Germany was in the last World Cup. Is my understanding? They were in the championship, or were they previous winners?
They got knocked out early rounds.
Did they win recently?
They've won. let's see. I think they've won 5 World Cups.
Yeah, they're always a strong team, is what I'm trying to say. Germany. Yeah.
But it's been exciting, and that was just a little tidbit that was out there today on national news.
Yeah.
So tomorrow, it ain't going to be the NFL during the day. The New Bedford, anyway. It's going to be World Cup, and I just wanted to, put that little edge in there.
Does Portugal have a chance to win the World Cup?
To win?
Yeah.
I'm not going to say absolutely not, because anything can really happen. But there are better teams like France and
right, France, of course.
Just conceptually, you look at them. Portuguese got older players, and I think that's a mistake that they made. They didn't bring up enough younger players, because the guys that are going to be out there been there for like 3 or 4 World Cups.
Ronaldo's like 37, isn't he?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. But you still want him on your team.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. But, we'll see. Anyway, you have a good night. And,
you as well.
It's not always the NFL. It's World Cup this time of year,
And I appreciate you giving us the updates on that.
Yeah, right.
Thank you. Yeah, the World Cup's interesting. I haven't paid that much attention to the World Cup now. Like Tom had said, it was typically a summer event, but they moved it to Qatar. When they decided on Qatar, I think it was because of the weather conditions in Qatar. It was a little bit different, so they asked for a waiver from FIFA, right? And they were granted that waiver. That's my understanding of it. I remember really following the 2010 World Cup for some reason. It was just something that me and my friends did. We followed the 2010 World Cup. I remember watching Spain and the Netherlands in 2010. Spain defeated the Netherlands in the World Cup. I remember having a little watch party with some friends there. It was actually a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. They had those horns called the vuvuzelas. It was like this throughout the entire World Cup. It was almost like this, consistent noise that came out, this horn noise that was very it was something. It was really something. So that's interesting. So we were talking about. I was talking about the Alaska election because Mary Peltola had just won the Alaskan election for the at-large congressional seat that's over there in Alaska, and the last frontier. Isn't that what it's called? The last frontier, or the land of the midnight sun. And I think it was, like I said, a lot of people blame ranked choice voting, but there was Republicans. Most of the Republicans won on ranked choice voting too. It was something that got shot down in Massachusetts. I had Evan Falchuk, who was the head of the ranked choice voting. He ran a third-party governor candidate election back in 2010, 2014. But basically, what ranked choice voting does is you pick the number of every candidate has a 1 to 4 number next to them, and you rank them in order of preference. So if you have a crowded race, especially in primaries, it's I think important. If you have a crowded race, you will. It'll be somebody who gets a majority of those votes. So basically, you rank your candidates 1 to 4, and when they get the final vote tallies, when they get the vote tallies, they have those 4 candidates. So what they do is the candidates that are at the bottom get knocked out, but then their second choice, the candidates that finish, let's say there's 4 candidates, that finishes 4th, they get knocked out, but their second choice votes go to the rest of the field. Right. And then the third one gets knocked out, and their second choice votes, they basically get reallocated to the field as well. So it's the person who has the most, basically second and third place votes after the first vote. It's a good way. And until someone gets 50%. So a true majority of people would prefer this candidate, if not vote for them outright. Again, I think it's good in crowded primaries where you don't have people who win 20-something% of the vote, basically win an election. And I think that's fine too. I remember when they had we had the 4th congressional election here, and Jake Auchincloss had won with 26% of the vote, barely edging out Jesse Mermel. I like Jake Auchincloss a lot. He comes on the show. He's, I think, doing a great job. A lot of people, and he's actually he was supportive of ranked choice voting. He supported the effort to get to pass ranked choice voting afterwards, even after his election when he won in that field. Some people say ranked choice voting would have given Rommel the victory. I think that assumes people vote monolithically. If they would have voted for Rommel, or people that voted for somebody else would have voted. People that voted for the more progressive candidates would have had Rommel as their second. That assumes people vote monolithically, and they don't. And there were plenty of other more moderate candidates there that probably would have had their second place votes go to Auchincloss. So, and again, he's supportive of ranked choice voting anyway, so I don't think it necessarily would have. I think he was a great candidate. It wouldn't have threatened his candidacy in any way, but I think it's a good way to get candidates that will have the majority of the voters support them, rather than having somebody with only a fraction of those voters. You look at Rhode Island. Again, Dan McKee could have won. Dan McKee could have won anyway, but Dan McKee came out of the primary basically with like 33% of the vote. Right, in a very competitive primary against Nellie Gorbea and Helena Foulkes, and in those situations, and there's Canada has it. I think a lot of countries in the EU have it. I think it's a better system. Again, it was on the ballot for Massachusetts. It got voted down, so it's neither here nor there. But I know there's some municipalities, there's some municipal elections that have ranked choice voting as well. Neither here nor there, I suppose, but I thought it was interesting to bring up that race in Alaska and Mary Peltola and her sort of surprise victory in that election. I think it was just because she was a stronger candidate, and she was the candidate that most people had preferred. So that's my little diatribe on why I think ranked choice voting is something that you should support. And 508-996-0500 second in the program. We're also taking messages on the WBSM app chat. It's Thanksgiving Eve. We're just hanging out, having a good time. This is South Coast Tonight. I'm Marcus, and I'm going to take this break.
Listen to us live anywhere in the world on the WBSM app. The one's on the left, the other on the right. But they're both ready to call it right down the middle. More of Marcus and Chris on South Coast Tonight here on WBSM.
Welcome back. Let's go to the phones. Good evening.
Hey, good evening, Marcus.
How you doing?
Okay. I just called to wish you a good holiday and hope you enjoy yourself. And if you do see Chris, the same goes for him.
Yeah, I might see Chris tomorrow, actually. Thank you. I appreciate that, and I hope you have a great Thanksgiving.
Well, one other thing, though. You've tried to stoke the interest about the Kennedy assassination. Next year, I guess it'll be 60 years.
Mm-hmm.
I can remember when I was a young man down at the old Roosevelt Junior High, and a friend of mine came out of Mrs. Crowley's social studies class, and he said, "Hey, the president's been shot," and I said, "Yeah, come on, you're crazy." And then come to find out we did get dismissed, and running down Brock Avenue, just before the police station, there was a Tuttero's TV shop there, and they had the TV on in the window and looking and running all the way home, basically, to see what was going on, as I live further on in the South End.
Right.
And I just have the feeling with this. I thought when Reagan got in and he had the right to, Trump got in and he had the right to release all the records.
Yeah.
I thought Trump being Trump would, release them all,
Mm-hmm.
But yet they held back. And I just have the feeling that the government really doesn't want the public to know.
Like I said before, it's been intentionally obfuscated.
Yeah. And I think what they're waiting to do is most of the people that were living back then, and you guys weren't, I guess, will be gone. And just like tonight, when you try to stoke some of the information, some interest in it, kind of fell flat. And I think that's what the government hopes will happen in the future. That that happened. Well, that was a long time ago.
Oh, that's what they do. I mean, that's what they do with a lot of stuff. Like, it's one of those things. Oh, we did this really terrible thing, or we were involved in this really terrible thing, but it was such a long time ago. We're better now.
Yeah. Nobody will really care. It's almost like Pearl Harbor. In a sense, we still know about it.
Yeah.
But lest we forget, I think Pearl Harbor is...
Pearl Harbor, we talked about the FBI, COINTELPRO, that, the MK Ultra and the Family Jewel stuff with the Church Commission.
Yeah, so
that's all.
Well, again, this is the death of a president. We're not, this is big stuff.
Of course.
And I always hoped that I would find out before the end of my life what really did happen.
Yeah.
And I was hoping that Trump would, let it all rip, but for whatever reason, maybe he didn't pay attention, or maybe he knows something that he didn't.
I think, maybe the, like I said, maybe he just was prevented by, maybe there's people that still have an interest in keeping that information secret. I mean, again, the same thing can be said about when he said recently, it's too bad we never got to the bottom of this whole 9/11 thing with the Saudis. Like, you were president. You could have you could have released all these documents for whatever reason you wanted. Yeah. Hey, listen, I've got to take this break, but I appreciate you calling in. Have a great Thanksgiving.
And I hope Chris can get that gentleman in about the, about the Kennedy assassination.
We're working on it.
Okay. All right. Thanks a lot, and have a good one.
You as well.
Bye.
If you want to hear everything.
Show 508-996-0500, but we're nearing pretty much the end of the show. Thanks to everybody who called in, messaged me on the app chat. I hope you all have a great Thanksgiving. Enjoy your time with your family. I'll be back Monday with Chris, and we'll go from there. We've got a lot to talk about. The Ward 3 race and a lot of other important stuff that we've got on the schedule. Actually, Monday, Paul Heroux coming in. Sheriff-elect Paul Heroux is going to come in, so we'll take your calls and your messages during his time. He's going to talk about some of the plans he's got for the sheriff's office, and he'll answer your questions too. So definitely want to tune in for that on Monday. We'll be with Sheriff-elect Paul Heroux. Guys, have a great Thanksgiving. Be safe, be happy. Wish the best for you guys, and I will see you on Monday with Chris. So. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy your time with your family. All right. Later.